Listen, I'm not a big fan of rom-coms, really. I hate these stupid posters, and most of these movies are the most meh movies your sister puts on to make your Sunday a little more miserable as you desperately wish you had been the one to grab the TV remote. But back in the 80s, Nora Ephron cooked up one of the best screenplays to ever grace the earth. This script was then handed to Rob Reiner, a true king of cinema in the 80s through 90s, who kind of petered out in the 21st century, but that's besides the point. Anyway, Rob Reiner then took this script and created one of my all-time favorite films, When Harry Met Sally.
I'll roll down the window.
The film takes place over the course of 12 years, and despite only being a little over 90 minutes long, we really get to know these people and naturally see them change and adjust over this long period of time. I love this movie for the cozy feeling it provides and the way it gets me to laugh every year I come back to watch it. It's not just a comfort movie of mine, though. I believe this film takes full advantage of the medium to convey a feeling that is universal to the human experience. Just hear me out on this. This rom-com from the 80s is peak, all right? There's something so cozy about the way this movie looks. When Harry Met Sally's vision of New York paints a landscape that is inviting, but always changing with the seasons. This film is just a big warm blanket for me, what can I say? Like here, for instance. It's a really simple trick, but I absolutely love the way the phone calls are visualized in this movie. There's this intimacy that the film provides by having the characters share the same space despite, being in completely different places. And that's pretty true to life if you've ever been on the phone with someone you're really close to. A lot of the composition in general is pretty simple, but simplicity is often the most effective method. I absolutely adore this shot of Harry by the window with his friends behind him and out of focus. He's not present with them here. He's stuck in his thoughts worrying about his ex-wife, and, he's just being a real Debbie Downer, and, the shot does a great job of illustrating that. Gotta say thank you to the cinematographer of this movie, Barry Sonnenfeld. No movie has made fall truly look this fall ever again, in my opinion. The seasons are always changing, and this does a great job at enforcing the passage of time. But we never feel separate from the characters through all this time passing, and I think a lot of that is owed to this movie's cozy-ass score. It feels like you're constantly at like a dinner party with these people. You got Louis Armstrong, who has the voice of an angel. Tomato, 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 let's call the whole thing off. Jazz isn't a genre I typically listen to, but this film's accompanied score is just so pleasant, and it never fails to fill any environment it's in with its warmth. I can talk out my ass all day about all the technical stuff of this movie, but it's also just a really funny movie, too.
It's amazing. You look like a normal person, but actually you are the angel of death.
The script creates all these incredibly uncomfortable moments that feel pulled from real life. The kind of memories that you have that you look back on and laugh at. The divorce talk at the ball game.
I don't know if I've ever loved you.
Ooh, that's harsh.
This moment in the store where Sally says the name of Harry's ex-wife into the mic while it's still on. It's not all uncomfortable situations to make you kind of cringe and laugh a little bit. It's also chock full of just funny moments. White man's overbite. Baby fish mouth.
Baby fish mouth.
I could go on, but I don't think I need to spend too much time telling you that this comedy movie is funny. The humor is just one part of how this movie gets down to making Harry and Sally and the supporting cast feel like the real deal. No character is just one thing. Harry may get around, but he can't seem to get his ex-wife out of his head. He acts like some nihilist, but deep down he's very attached to his friends. Sally claims to be over Joe, but she eventually cracks when she finds out he's getting married. It's not always as simple as just being over someone. Harry and Sally have a very strange relationship, with them at first having an awkward car ride to New York City, then an awkward plane ride years later, until they finally meet up again in New York City and become friends. They are supportive of one another, but it's clear that they both can sense that they feel like more than just friends. The way they say no words here in this scene at New Year's Eve, it's like they're just reading each other's thoughts.
What do you have? A hot date?
There's something so real about this moment where Harry maintains his funny voice to avoid talking about an embarrassing subject matter.
I would not be good for anybody right now.
It's time.
It's the realest moment in this movie. I love it. He's a true court jester. The two continue to struggle to figure out what they are at first. It's not until Sally grieves over Joe and is comforted by Harry that they finally act on their feelings they have for one another. Only problem is, Harry is scared of this, and is just looking for an excuse to get out of there as fast as possible. They both hope the other one says the bad news, and it ultimately leaves both upset and uncertain about one another. It's a complicated love story, and it takes a long time for it to figure itself out. Harry's eventual confession is so great because he picks up on all sorts of things that only he notices about Sally. I absolutely adore that the first thing he mentions is something that not even the audience got to see.
I love that you get cold when it's 71 degrees out. I love that it takes you an hour and a half to order a sandwich.
But the final piece of this film's puzzle is in the interviews that act as sort of chapter headers for the movie. They are the thing that turns this unique love story into something more universal. These interviews are done by actors, but they are based on true stories. The interviews range from high school sweethearts to long-lost lovers and arranged marriages, but they are all about the same thing: love. The story of When Harry Met Sally is just one shade of love. This film is not saying that men and women can't be friends when it shows Harry and Sally getting together. They fall in love because they were such good friends. It's fitting for this film's climax to center on New Year's Eve. It's when we look back on our experiences and reflect. This film asks us to try and find love in that reflection. And I think that's great. Tomato, 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 let's call the whole thing off.
Baby fish mouth!
Ethel
Baby
Merman.
fish mouth!